Look, I want to share something with you today that might sound absolutely impossible at first. I'm going to tell you about one single sentence that has the power to completely reverse the way money flows in your life. Now, I know that sounds like one of those wild promises you hear everywhere, but stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you comes from years of studying the most successful people who ever lived, and it's based on a principle that Napoleon Hill discovered after interviewing over 500 of the wealthiest and most accomplished individuals in America. Here's what that sentence is. Are you ready? Money doesn't come to those who chase it. Money comes to those who attract it. Read that again in your mind. Money doesn't come to those who chase it. Money comes to those who attract it. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You're thinking, well, that's just wordplay. That's just some motivational fluff. But I promise you, by the time we finish this conversation today, you're going to understand why this one shift in understanding, this one fundamental change in how you think about money, can transform everything about your financial life. And I mean everything. You see, most of us have been taught to think about money in completely the wrong way. We've been taught that if we want more money, we need to work harder, chase more opportunities, hustle more, grind more, push more. And don't get me wrong, hard work matters. But here's the thing that almost nobody understands. When you're chasing money, you're actually pushing it away from you. It's like trying to catch a butterfly by running after it with a net. The harder you chase, the faster it flies away. But when you sit down, when you become still, when you become the right kind of person, that butterfly lands right on your shoulder. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years of his life studying success. 20 years. He was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men who ever lived, to discover the secret of success and achievement. And after interviewing people like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Theodore Roosevelt, and hundreds of other incredibly successful individuals, he discovered something that changed everything. He discovered that the people who have money, who attract wealth into their lives effortlessly, they're not doing what everyone else is doing. They're not out there desperately chasing every opportunity. They're not anxiously worrying about money. They've become something different. They've become the kind of person that money flows to naturally, like water flowing downhill. And that's what we're going to explore together today. I'm going to show you exactly what it means to attract money instead of chasing it. I'm going to show you the specific mental shifts, the specific ways of thinking and being that turn you into a money magnet. And I'm going to share with you some stories and examples that will make this so clear, so obvious, that you'll wonder why you never saw it before. Now, before we go any further, I want you to do something for me. I want you to think about your own relationship with money right now. Just take a moment. When you think about money, what's the first feeling that comes up? Is it anxiety? Is it worry? Is it frustration? Do you feel like you're always running after it, always trying to catch up, always feeling like there's not enough? Or do you feel calm, confident, expectant? Do you feel like money is something that comes to you naturally, something that flows into your life because of who you are and what you offer to the world? Most people, if they're really honest with themselves, they're in that first category. They're anxious about money, they worry about it, they chase it. They feel like they're always struggling to get enough of it. And here's what's fascinating. That very feeling, that very energy of anxiety and chasing is the exact thing that keeps money away from them. It's like they're broadcasting a signal out into the universe that says, I don't have enough, I'm desperate, I'm lacking. And the universe responds to that signal by giving them exactly what they're broadcasting: more lack, more struggle, more not enough. But the people who attract money, they're broadcasting a completely different signal. They're broadcasting confidence, value, abundance, certainty. And the universe responds to that signal too, by bringing them more opportunities, more wealth, more abundance. Now, I'm not talking about some magical woo-woo thing here. I'm talking about practical psychology and the way human beings respond to each other. People are attracted to confidence. People want to do business with someone who seems abundant and valuable, not with someone who seems desperate and needy. Let me tell you a story that illustrates this perfectly. I once knew a man named Frank who owned a small printing business. Times were tough, and he was struggling to get clients. One day, he decided to change his approach. Instead of cold calling and practically begging for work, he started conducting free seminars on effective marketing materials for local businesses. He shared his expertise generously, teaching small business owners how to create compelling brochures and advertisements. Something remarkable happened. Business owners started coming to him, asking him to do their printing work. Why? Because by sharing his knowledge freely, he demonstrated abundance. He showed that he had so much expertise, so much value, that he could afford to give it away. He wasn't hoarding his knowledge like a desperate man guards his last dollar. He was flowing it out into the world, and it came back to him multiplied. That's the principle in action. When you operate from abundance, when you give freely, you signal to the world that you have more than enough. And paradoxically, that's when more comes to you. Now, here's another crucial element of financial abundance that most people completely miss. The way you speak about money reveals and reinforces your relationship with it. Listen to how people talk about money. I can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees. I'm broke. I'm just scraping by. Every single one of these statements is a declaration of scarcity. And every time you speak them, you're programming your subconscious mind to create more scarcity in your life. Words have power. They shape our reality more than most people realize. When you constantly say, "I can't afford that," you're not just stating a fact, you're giving your subconscious mind a command. You're telling it, "Find evidence that I can't afford things. Keep me in this state of not being able to afford things." What if instead, when you saw something you wanted but didn't currently have the money for, you said, "How can I afford that?" Or, "That's not a priority for me right now." Do you see the difference? The first question opens your mind to possibilities. It puts your creative faculties to work, finding solutions. The second statement acknowledges choice rather than limitation. You're not broke, you're simply choosing to allocate your resources differently. I want you to become aware of how you speak about money, both out loud and in your own mind. Catch yourself when you use scarcity language. Replace it with abundance language. Instead of "I'm broke," try "I'm between opportunities right now," or "I'm building my resources." Instead of "I can't afford it," try "I'm choosing to invest my money elsewhere right now." This isn't just positive thinking or empty affirmations. This is about recognizing that your words reflect and reinforce your beliefs, and your beliefs create your reality. When you change how you speak about money, you begin to change how you think about money, and that changes how you act around money, and that changes your financial results. Think of your mind as a garden. Every word you speak about money is a seed you plant. If you plant seeds of scarcity, you'll harvest scarcity. If you plant seeds of abundance, you'll harvest abundance. The universe doesn't care which seeds you plant, it simply grows what you give it. Now, here's something most people never consider. The language you use about other people's money matters just as much as the language you use about your own. When you see someone driving an expensive car, what's your first thought? Is it "must be nice" with a tone of resentment? Is it "probably in debt up to their eyeballs"? Or is it "good for them, that's what success looks like"? When you hear about someone getting a raise or starting a successful business, do you feel genuine happiness for them, or does a little voice whisper, "Why not me?" Or "They probably just got lucky"? Here's the truth. When you resent other people's success, you're telling your subconscious mind that having money is somehow wrong or bad. You're programming yourself to reject the very thing you claim to want. You can't hate the rich and become wealthy any more than you can hate the healthy and become fit. I once knew a man who would drive through wealthy neighborhoods and mutter under his breath about rich snobs and people who have more money than sense. He wondered why he could never get ahead financially. The answer was simple. He had trained his mind to associate wealth with negative qualities. His subconscious mind was protecting him from becoming something he despised. The moment he started genuinely celebrating other people's success, genuinely feeling happy when he saw evidence of prosperity, his own financial situation began to shift. He started to see wealth as something positive, something attainable, something that good people can have. This is what I call prosperity consciousness. It's the ability to see abundance everywhere and to feel joy at its presence, whether it's yours or someone else's. When you develop prosperity consciousness, you stop seeing the world as a pie, where someone else's slice means less for you. You start seeing it as the infinite, abundant universe. It truly is where someone else's success actually increases the total amount of success available, where someone else's wealth actually proves that wealth is possible. Let me give you a practical exercise. For the next week, every time you see evidence of prosperity, a nice house, a successful business, someone dressed well, a full restaurant, say to yourself, "There's plenty for everyone. including me. Every time you hear about someone's financial success, say, "I celebrate your success and I claim mine." Watch what happens. Watch how your feelings about money begin to shift. Watch how opportunities that were always there suddenly become visible to you. Now, let's talk about another crucial aspect of money psychology that most people completely overlook: the need to receive. We live in a culture that teaches us it's better to give than to receive, and while giving is certainly important, many people have developed an inability to receive, and this inability is costing them dearly. Think about it. How do you feel when someone offers to pay for your meal? Do you graciously accept, or do you immediately insist on paying them back? How do you respond to compliments? Do you accept them, or do you deflect them? When someone offers to help you, do you let them, or do you say, "No, I've got it"? If you can't receive small things graciously, how can you expect to receive large things? If you push away a compliment, you're teaching your mind to push away abundance. If you can't let someone buy you coffee, how will you let the universe hand you a fortune? The practice of receiving is just that, a practice. And like any practice, it starts small. It starts with saying "thank you" when someone compliments your work. It starts with letting a friend pick up the check without wrestling them for it. It starts with accepting help when it's offered, even when your pride whispers that you should handle everything alone. I learned this lesson the hard way. Years ago, when I was just starting out in radio, a mentor offered to introduce me to some people who could help my career. My first instinct was to say, "No, that's okay, I'll make it on my own." Can you believe that? Someone was literally opening doors for me, and I almost slammed them shut because I thought accepting help was somehow weakness. Thank God I caught myself. I took the help, and those introductions changed my life. But here's what I realized later: if I had refused that gift, I wouldn't just have hurt myself, I would have hurt him. I would have robbed him of the joy of giving. I would have told him, indirectly, that his contribution didn't matter. When you refuse to receive, you're not being humble. You're being selfish. You're denying someone else the pleasure of giving. You're disrupting the natural flow of human connection. Think about how good it feels when you give something to someone and they light up with genuine appreciation. That warmth, that connection, that's one of the great joys of being human. Now imagine how it feels when you offer something from the heart and the person brushes it off, minimizes it, or refuses it. Disappointing, isn't it? Maybe even a little insulting. Yet we do this to others all the time, and we call it modesty. There's a beautiful teaching in many traditions about being a good vessel. You can't fill a cup that's turned upside down. You can't pour water into a container that's already overflowing with the belief that you don't deserve more. To receive, you must first empty yourself of the notion that you're not worthy. You must turn your cup right side up. You must create space. How do you create that space? By releasing the stories that keep you small. The story that says you're not smart enough, not talented enough, not worthy enough. The story that says if good things come too easily, they don't count. The story that says struggle is noble and ease is suspicious. These stories are prisons of your own making, and the walls are built from nothing more substantial than repeated thoughts. Here's something that might surprise you. The universe doesn't care about your struggle. It doesn't award extra points for suffering. It doesn't sit up there with a scorecard saying, "Oh, she suffered for 10 years, now she can have success." That's not how it works. The universe responds to your consciousness, to your expectations, to your openness. It responds to what you believe you deserve and what you're willing to accept. I've watched people sabotage their own success in 1,000 different ways. The writer who finally gets published but can't stop talking about how it's not a big deal. The entrepreneur who lands a major client, then immediately worries it was a fluke. The artist who sells a painting and instantly discounts the price because they feel guilty. What are they really doing? They're refusing to receive. They're sending the message to life itself: "I'm not ready for this. Take it back. Give it to someone more deserving." And you know what? Life is listening. Life will accommodate your beliefs about yourself. If you insist you're only worth minimum wage, you'll find ways to keep yourself there. If you insist that good relationships are hard, you'll unconsciously create that difficulty. If you insist that you must struggle, struggle will be your constant companion. But here's the magnificent truth: the moment you change your mind, everything changes. The moment you decide, I am worthy of receiving, I am open to abundance, I welcome ease and joy and prosperity in that moment, you become magnetic to those very things. This isn't wishful thinking, it's physics, it's psychology, it's the fundamental nature of reality. You move toward what you focus on, you attract what you expect. You receive what you're open to receiving, and this is why two people can live in the blot of lot of self, same neighborhood, work in the same industry, have the same education, and yet experience completely different lives. One sees opportunity everywhere, the other sees only obstacles. One expects good things to happen, and they do. The other expects disappointment and is rarely surprised. The difference isn't in their circumstances, it's in their mental atmosphere. Think of your mind as a garden again. If you plant seeds of expectation, positive, confident expectation, you'll harvest results that match those seeds. But if you allow the weeds of doubt, fear, and negative expectation to take over, that's exactly what you'll reap. Now, here's something most people never consider. Your subconscious mind doesn't judge whether your expectations are good for you or bad for you. It simply accepts them as instructions and goes to work making them real. If you constantly say, I never have enough money, your subconscious hears that as a command and ensures you continue that pattern. If you say, I'm terrible with names, guess what? You'll forget the next name you hear. Your subconscious is remarkably obedient. It gives you exactly what you tell it to give you. But when you change your internal dialogue, when you begin to expect success instead of failure, something remarkable happens. Your subconscious mind, that powerful creative mechanism, begins working in your favor instead of against you. I've seen this transformation countless times. People who've struggled for years suddenly begin to succeed, not because their circumstances changed first, but because they changed their expectations first. Let me give you a practical example. Suppose you're in sales, and you've been struggling. Every morning before work you think, this is going to be another tough day. People don't want to buy right now. The economy is bad. I'm just not good at this. With those expectations firmly planted, you walk into your first appointment, and what happens? Your prospect picks up on your uncertainty, your lack of confidence. They sense your expectation of rejection, and they oblige you with exactly that. You leave thinking, see, I knew it would be a tough day. But now imagine a different scenario. Same person, same product, same economy, but different expectations. You wake up thinking, I help people solve real problems. Today I'm going to meet people who need what I offer. I expect to make meaningful connections and valuable sales. You walk into that same appointment with an entirely different energy. You're confident, relaxed, genuinely expecting a positive outcome. Your prospect feels this. They're more receptive, more open, and more often than not, you get the result you expected. Same person, same situation, different expectation, different result. This isn't positive thinking for its own sake. This is understanding how the human mind actually works. You become what you think about. You move toward what you expect. And your expectations shape not just your internal experience, but your external results. Here's another critical insight. Most people set their expectations based on past results. They look backward and project that same pattern forward. I've always been this way, so I'll always be this way. That's looking through the rearview mirror while trying to drive forward. But successful people do the opposite. They set their expectations based on where they want to go, not where they've been. They understand that past results came from past thinking, and new results require new thinking. They make it a practice to look at their goals every single day, to read their written plan, to visualize themselves already in possession of what they're working toward. And here's what happens. Their expectations begin to rise. They start seeing themselves differently. They start acting differently. And the results they get begin to change. I remember talking with a sales manager once who told me about one of his representatives. This person had been averaging about 5 sales a month for years. Steady, predictable, but nothing spectacular. Then something changed. He started working with a mentor who had him write down a goal to make 15 sales a month. The sales rep thought it was impossible, but he wrote it down anyway. His mentor made him do something else too. Every morning before making his first call, he had to review that goal and spend 5 minutes imagining himself at the end of the month, having made those 15 sales. Imagining how it would feel, what his commission check would look like, what he would tell his wife. The first month, he made 8 sales. Better than before, but not 15. The second month, 11. By the third month, he hit 14. And by the fourth month, he not only hit 15, he exceeded it with 17. What changed? Not the market, not the product, not his territory. His expectations changed. And when expectations change, everything changes. See, your expectations act like a thermostat in your mind. If you set that thermostat at 65 degrees, the room will always adjust to 65. It doesn't matter if it gets hotter or colder temporarily, the thermostat brings it back to the setting. Your mind works exactly the same way. If your expectation thermostat is set at mediocrity, your mind will find ways to keep you there. You might have a great month, make more money than usual, get recognition, but if your internal setting is lower, you'll unconsciously sabotage yourself back down to what feels normal. You'll make a bad decision, slack off, or create some drama that brings you back to your comfort zone. But raise that thermostat, raise your expectations, and your mind begins working to bring your reality up to match. You start noticing opportunities you would have missed before. You speak with more confidence. You take actions that someone with higher expectations would take, and bit by bit your outer world conforms to your inner expectation. This is why poor people who win the lottery often end up broke again within a few years. Their expectation level never changed. They might have had millions in the bank, but their internal thermostat was still set at poverty, so they unconsciously made decisions that brought them back to what felt familiar. And this is why successful people who lose everything often rebuild their fortunes. Their thermostat is still set high. They expect success. They see setbacks as temporary. Their minds immediately start working on solutions because failure doesn't feel normal to them anymore. So if you want to change your life, you must change your expectations. And that starts with making a clear, definite decision about what you want. Write it down. Look at it every day. Spend time imagining yourself already there. Feel what it would feel like to have it. See yourself living that life. At first, your old expectations will fight back. Your mind will say, "Who are you kidding? This isn't you. This isn't realistic. That's normal. That's just your current thermostat trying to maintain the status quo." Keep going anyway. Keep seeing it. Keep expecting it. Eventually, your mind accepts the new setting and everything begins to shift. The law is exact. Change your thinking, and you change your expectations. Change your expectations, and you change your actions. Change your actions, and you change your results. It all starts with thought. And here's something most people never realize. Your thoughts don't just change your actions, they change your perception of reality itself. Two people can walk down the same street on the same day and have completely different experiences. One sees opportunity everywhere, the help wanted sign in the window, the person who might become a valuable connection, the idea sparked by an overheard conversation. The other sees nothing but obstacles, the traffic, the noise, the indifference of strangers. What's the difference? Not the street, not the circumstances. The difference is entirely in what they're thinking, what they expect to see, and therefore what they're looking for. Your mind is like a radio receiver. It picks up on whatever frequency you set it to. Set it to the frequency of opportunity, and you'll receive opportunities. Set it to the frequency of problems, and you'll receive problems. The signals are all around you, all the time. You're simply selecting which ones to tune into. This is why gratitude is such a powerful force. When you deliberately focus on what you're grateful for, you're tuning your receiver to abundance, and suddenly you notice more things to be grateful for. Not because your circumstances have changed, but because your perception has changed. You're seeing what was always there. The same principle works with goals. When you become crystal clear about what you want and hold that image firmly in your mind, you begin to notice things that can help you achieve it. Resources you didn't know existed. People who can assist you. Ideas that seem to come from nowhere. They were always there. You just weren't tuned in to that frequency. Now, let me share something that might challenge you. Most people are thinking about what they don't want rather than what they do want. They're afraid of failure, worried about rejection, anxious about loss. And by the law we've been discussing, they're moving toward exactly what they fear. Energy flows where attention goes. If you're constantly thinking, "I hope I don't mess this up," you're programming failure. If you're thinking, "I hope they don't reject me," You're programming rejection. Your subconscious mind doesn't process negatives the way your conscious mind does. When you say, "Don't think of a pink elephant," what immediately appears in your mind? The pink elephant. This is why successful people think in terms of what they want to achieve, not what they want to avoid. They don't focus on not being poor, they focus on creating wealth. They don't focus on not being sick, they focus on being healthy and vital. They don't focus on not failing, they focus on succeeding. It's a subtle but crucial distinction. And here's where it gets really interesting. When you change your habitual thoughts, you don't just change your future, you reinterpret your past. The same experiences that once seemed like disasters suddenly reveal themselves as necessary preparation. The rejections become redirections. The failures become lessons. The pain becomes the catalyst for growth. Your biography doesn't change, but its meaning does. And that new meaning shapes everything that comes next. I've watched this transformation happen in person after person. The moment they truly grasp that they're not victims of their circumstances but creators of their experience, something shifts. There's a light in their eyes that wasn't there before. A confidence in their step, a certainty in their voice. They've discovered the secret that changes everything. You become what you think about, not someday, not eventually. Right now, in this very moment, you are becoming what you're thinking about. Every thought is a seed planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. And that soil doesn't judge, it simply grows whatever seed is planted there, whether it's a flower or a weed. The difference between success and failure isn't talent, it isn't luck. It isn't who your parents were or where you were born. The difference is simply this: successful people think about their goals. Unsuccessful people think about their problems. Let me give you a real example. Two salesmen work for the same company, selling the same product in the same territory. One becomes wildly successful, the other barely scrapes by. What's the difference? The successful one thinks about making the sale. He thinks about serving his customers. He thinks about solutions. The unsuccessful one, he thinks about rejection. He thinks about how hard it is. He thinks about all the reasons why people won't buy. They're both right. Because what you think about expands. Here's what fascinates me. Your mind can only hold one thought at a time. Right now, you're thinking about what I'm saying to you. You can't simultaneously think about something else, not really. You can switch rapidly between thoughts, but you can only truly focus on one thing in each moment. This is enormously powerful when you understand it. Because if you can only think one thought at a time, you get to choose which thought that is. When worry tries to creep in, you can replace it with your goal. When doubt whispers in your ear, you can replace it with faith. When fear tries to paralyze you, you can replace it with action. This isn't positive thinking for its own sake. This is directing your mind like you direct a flashlight in a dark room. Whatever you shine the light on becomes visible. Everything else disappears into the darkness. Your mind works the same way. Whatever you focus on becomes your reality. Everything else fades away. Think about the people you admire most. The ones who've achieved great things, who've made a difference, who've lived lives that matter. What do they all have in common? They think about what they want, not what they fear. They think about possibilities, not limitations. They think about how they can, not why they can't. And here's the beautiful part. You can start doing this right now, this very second. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect circumstances. You don't need more education or more money or more time. You simply need to direct your thoughts toward what you want to become. But, and this is crucial, you must do it consistently. 1 day of positive thinking followed by 6 days of worry won't work. 1 hour of focus followed by 23 hours of distraction won't create the life you want. You become what you think about most of the time, not occasionally. This is why I recommend carrying a card with your goal written on it. Look at it first thing in the morning. Look at it throughout the day. Look at it before you go to sleep at night. Not because the card is magic, but because it reminds you to direct your thoughts back to your purpose when they inevitably wander. Your mind is like a garden, and you are the gardener. You can't prevent bird drop seeds from landing in your garden. Negative thoughts will come, but you get to decide which plants you water and which ones you pull out. Water the thoughts aligned with your goals. Starve the thoughts that work against you.